the back, the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 835, Last Breathe. So, let's go around the table, and everyone can introduce themselves.
Oh, that's weird. This is Kevin.
This is Matt.
And this is Tom.
Oh, that's a weird pattern. I don't like that.
I don't know.
I feel like by now, Matt, I mean, he wasn't in the rotation at one point, if you remember.
Yeah.
When he was here, and I thought we were sticking with that, but sometimes he's not in the rotation. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I
keep
can
up
never
with.
remember.
Keep it fun, you know?
It depends on how I feel about him on that day.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come in
yeah.
and you're like, I don't know if this is a rotation day.
Check the comments, see how people are feeling about
Yeah.
me.
I'm just
Oh,
like,
yeah. You do get some comments sometimes, Matt.
we should maybe move the introductions to the end of the episode, right?
Oh,
And
so I
that
have to
way,
wait.
if I feel like he carried his weight throughout the
Okay.
show.
Okay.
And this
I
has
like
been
that.
Matt F. Bosler.
Yeah.
I guess the
hey,
outros are kind of like reverse introductions.
I've got
Yeah.
all my analogies, my metaphors on point today. Everything's going to have a purpose.
I swear, if I hear one I don't know out of you, Matt, you better know.
I know. Hey.
You better know everything.
And you know, and here's the thing. And if I can just, I think it's when I'm being negative about a film, I never want to come off like an authority, right?
Like a know-it-all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I that is my way of
I
saying
don't
like,
know.
but if you like it, it's cool. I'm just saying, I don't know. But today, I'm gonna tear
Why
this
don't you have
thing
a little?
apart.
Why don't you have a little backbone?
You're
and
right.
Your opinion
No,
is your
they're-
opinion.
Hey, I have taken the constructive criticism to heart, and today, when I'm talking about how unrealistic and fake this movie is,
There's no way all this stuff could actually
no
happen.
way.
Come
And
on,
I'm gonna
man.
stand
So
on it.
unbelievable. Okay, I'm excited to hear about it.
yeah.
Okay, well, before we get to that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you are there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/realspoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It is called the League of Show Sharers. We are hoping you will share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Aaron Kyleman, Heather Sachs, Librarian Cynthia, Lane Levanway, Gabriel Lugo, Tammy Lynn Powers, Bet, Julian Jordan, Brent Smith, Phil Timon, Jason Weesey, The Kryptonian Orphan, Edit Photo Gamer, Mike, and Oscar, Spoiler Piece Theater, Colby Mack, Fabio Del Rio. That's
All right.
fun to say,
Matt,
Fabio.
could you do a song?
What?
There's a new,
He doesn't
there's a
know
new-
that.
There's the new show sharers, and Dan Graney, who used to be one of the co-hosts, his job was when there was a new person following and sharing the show,
he would write a little
no.
impromptu song
he would
about
do
them.
a song.
On just right now?
Right,
Yeah, just
improv.
right on the spot.
Fabio. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it Dan? This is a character plugging his
Yeah,
other
that
show?
guy. Yeah,
Yes.
on our show
Oh,
sharers. Could you believe the gall of that guy?
Don't say it. Don't say the name of the show.
I will never say the name of the hububbery on this show. So where was I at? Who did I say last?
Fabio.
It's Fabio, that's right.
Wow, your memory
I
is
know,
really
I'm
good.
sorry.
You
I
had a
worked,
whole song about
I had
it.
a concert last night, so I worked. It was a late night.
Oh yeah, what'd you play?
They didn't get off stage till very, very late. They played longer than they were supposed to.
Oh,
It's a
cool.
long song title.
Every time when you'll see articles where it's like they were supposed to stop it, blah, blah, they went a half an hour longer, and that's supposed to be cool. And
Yeah.
I'm always thinking that sucks.
Yeah.
like don't do that.
Yeah.
Plan your show.
Springsteen was notorious for doing that because it would trigger overtime for the union.
Ooh, yeah.
Stagehands and
Oh, good for them. I
loaders
guess.
and stuff like that. And I will say, in that setting, good for him, because if he triggered overages, in labor, a Springsteen show is invariably sold out, which means that money's coming out of his pocket, not the promoter's pocket, right? So that's nice, but if your band isn't in back end, don't do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, In Session Film, Geek to Me Radio, Ronnie Castle, Ken Holtzhauser, Ryan, Terry, Matt Niglia, and NostalgiaCast. So thank you very much for sharing an episode. It is greatly appreciated. We also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@theclipout. No, sorry. Long night. Real spoilers. I was like, what was this called? YouTube/thehububbery. And
this is not the one where we talk about exercise.
And then finally, our Patreon.
YouTube.com/thehububbery.
Yeah.
Dan said, how much you getting paid?
Yeah. Patreon.
Looks like that show has a bigger budget than ours, so I wouldn't be surprised if there were some palms getting greased.
Patreon.com/real spoilers. $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content. I record them when I'm actually awake, when I'm on there. And
a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah, and we like you extra. Well, because you've been talking about SNL, so that's like, that's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
Do you think Dan was like, okay, I'm gonna make a new show, but my episode number 1's gonna be good?
He's learned.
I remember that old episode number 1 where the mics sounded all crappy.
Yeah.
And
He's like, I'm not doing that again.
he's like, this is gonna actually look professional.
Yeah. So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig into Last Breath. So
Well, okay. So Joe's not here, right? We've established Joe's not here.
What? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. You thought you were just talking to an empty chair. We were pulling an Eastwood.
I saw Clint Eastwood do this really cool bit.
You thought
I was gonna give it a shot.
Okay, so if I would
catapulted John McCain to the presidency.
That's right. Yes.
So, okay, here's the thing. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this for Joe because he's not here. He can't speak his piece about this movie. But if Joe were here, he would be comparing this movie to Iron Man number 68. Okay? As
Absolutely,
a comic
yeah,
guy,
of
right?
course.
Okay, so this is what the film thematically has in common. Survival against the odds. In Iron Man 68, Tony Stark is stranded in a hostile environment after being shot down and forced to survive with limited resources while relying on his intelligence and suit. In this movie, Chris is stranded deep under the ocean, disconnected from his lifeline, and must survive with dwindling oxygen.
Paid for the professional level of Chat GPT.
Isolation and vulnerability. Iron Man number 68, Stark is alone in a foreign, dangerous setting, emphasizing his vulnerability without full access to his tech. Chris is also isolated deep to sea. This is a race against time. In Iron Man 68, you'll remember Stark's armor is damaged, and he must fix it before running out of power or being captured.
Yep.
Who doesn't remember?
Chris only has a few minutes of emergency oxygen before facing certain death. And overcoming adversity, not to jump too far ahead, but we do spoil things. In number 68, Stark's determination and ingenuity helped him survive and escape his dire situation. And Chris's survival is partially due to his training and quick thinking of the crew, emphasizing human resilience.
And
so,
the first time he tries to fly away from the island, he's clipped to a tree.
That's right. I forgot about that. So, I mean, I know that we're supposed to read more comics on this show, so I just wanted to make sure that we relate everything to a comic book. So I'll be sure to keep doing that.
And right, and that's what I walked out of this going, this is a ripoff.
Yeah.
This is a ripoff.
Iron Man 68.
Iron Man 68.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
No new ideas in Hollywood.
I'm excited to hear feedback on how our comic knowledge is after this episode. Oh, please go on.
I don't know. I don't like disaster movie. I mean, this is kind of, but it fits in the genre, right? You call it like a disaster
adjacent
something.
I mean, technically no disaster occurred, but you thought there could.
It kind of follows the.
But you know what? Maybe those aren't my favorite genre of film, but when they're based on true stories, especially true stories I've never heard before, I think it's really cool to go, wait, what? Like how?
Ooh. Now that's another thing. I sometimes don't like true story movies because the whole time I'm going, did this part happen or is this?
But if you watch a documentary based on the movie,
and this seems pretty
well,
are the important parts. I don't care. Like, did his wife really say that? I mean, the important.
This is in my show prep, my rare show prep for the show. I watched the documentary.
I didn't know
there was
I feel like, and I liked this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have liked the documentary more.
Same.
Do you?
But this is what's interesting. So the documentary is directed by the same guy that they gave him the feature. The guy that did the 2019 documentary.
I was going to point that out. That I do think this probably hews pretty closely to what actually occurred.
It is one of those rare movies where they didn't have to dramatize. This story is so insane and unbelievable.
Yeah.
All the things that happen, like in the documentary, you see footage, and the way they've recreated it in the movie looks just like the real footage. When he's stranded on top of the thing, when he climbs up it, and he's like sitting there, like and his arms are shaking.
Scary. Like that's
he literally in the footage that they recorded it all when they're down there. They have cameras. He literally is laying there, and his limbs are shaking. Like it is crazy. This movie is almost a documentary. It is so close of a recreation of what actually happened. And so anyway, I went back and watched it. I'm like, holy crap, they didn't have to embellish. They didn't have to dramatize. And what I was thinking when I was like trying to word this and figure out how I feel about it, I'm like, it doesn't matter what he says to the wife. It doesn't matter what Chris says to Woody Harrelson's character. That's banter for a movie.
Right.
But the plot, the beats of like the thrilling parts, the crazy parts, it's like those all were recreated almost identically to what happened. And so you can watch this movie and it's like watching the like you actually are, sometimes you watch a movie and it's like, yeah, but that didn't happen in history and that didn't like,
right.
If you watch this, you could do a report in class the next day and you'd fool the teacher.
Yeah.
You feel like when you're watching movies like this and you go like, that's incredible. And then after you'd go like, well, they didn't actually do the claw thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Him up.
No, he was down there with the little thing trying to grab him. Like you saw the footage from the drone trying to grab him. Like it's nuts. This movie is so true. Based on a true story. It's so close to it. So you could watch this and it is unbelievable. And you actually have to believe it because it happened.
And like, so these are not my favorite type of movies. But this was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was solid. I thought it was thrilling. It was exciting, and knowing it was based on a true story, like it was nerve-wracking. But I'm also like, well, they don't make movies about
like when you fail.
We failed to rescue a guy,
and then he died.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, but nice try,
yeah.
everybody.
Or even like, well, now he's
paralyzed, like
he can't really.
But I thought maybe that's where it was going because I thought maybe my thought was okay. He should be dead. He's alive, but now he has to overcome whatever disability he has now because he has to learn to walk again. Like I was thinking it would go that route.
Yeah, and then you get the tearful footage of the real life Chris.
The twist,
taking his first step at his daughter's wedding.
Exactly. Yeah, and so what happens in this movie and in real life is just truly a miraculous. Should not have been able to happen with none of those. And that's why they made a movie about it because the story's so crazy and unbelievable.
Did you think the twist at the end where we find out Chris was bald was crazy?
I know that guy had a good head of hair in the movie, and I was like, I don't know, kind of ruins
the whole time.
Well, that gives me hope for when they make a real spoilers movie,
right?
Oh, yeah,
that the character
Full head of hair
will have hair. So I guess we should start back.
The plot of this movie.
Yeah, so
okay.
These guys are saturation divers.
Yeah, one's a sat daddy.
Yeah, he wants to be.
Does Woody Harrelson age?
Yeah,
I look at him and I go, he's looked the same for 20. It's a Steve Martin situation.
Yeah. I was like, did you not watch Cheers? That dude's aged.
Well, but for the past, for
the past like 25
practically
years.
natural born killers to this. I mean, it's just when you look at him, he literally doesn't look like, okay, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, we saw a trailer. And both me and Katie are like, Tom Cruise is looking old. He's out there doing it.
He looks good for his age, but he does not look like he's 45
Yes,
anymore.
and he was 35.
He's getting that old man barrel chest.
He's had that for a while too, though. But
Yeah.
he's looked 30s for 20 years, and now he looks 60 or whatever.
How old is Tom Cruise?
Got to be 60, 50.
I think
he's
like
60, something like that.
Because this what I
truly
if we
incredible.
go and he's like 80.
Then
I go, well, okay.
No, truly incredible. None of us will look like that at 60.
62.
I'm not 60. Yeah,
Okay.
so like not dogging him, but like it's showing, right? It's like he may be transitioning to different roles that aren't Mission Impossible movies eventually because it's like
Tom Cruise kind of being a weirdo aside.
I don't think he will. I
love to see him do like I'm not trying to down like Mission Impossible is fun, but I'm just saying like another
like a drama.
What's the one where the frogs fall out of the sky?
Like Vanilla Sky or something?
Well, sure.
War of
like
the
one of
Worlds?
those type.
No, is it Paul Thomas Anderson?
Oh, Magnolia.
Magnolia.
Oh,
yeah,
Magnolia, yes, where he
Yeah.
plays the guy that talks about he's gonna
Yeah.
all the sex stuff. I can't remember what he
Or,
says.
yeah,
It's
Vanilla
funny,
Sky
though.
or something.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like we know he can do drama. Clearly, it's Tom Cruise. He's done tons of roles. But anyway, the point is, he looks amazing for his age. But it's starting to show, right? And then I watch this movie and I go, well, Woody Harrelson has to be older than Tom Cruise or around the same age. But he's looked like the same Woody Harrelson for 25 years. I don't know. I just am like, he doesn't.
You gotta. This is the thing. You go bald or you go gray early,
Right.
and then
Steve
you'll look.
Martin,
You'll look.
yeah.
Woody Harrelson is 63.
Right. So you're right.
He's
so
a year older than Tom
right,
Cruise,
but-
almost to the day.
Wow.
Oh, happy birthday early.
Happy birthday.
But anyway, but he just does. I don't know. I looked at him and I go, well, yeah, he looks like Woody, but what I think it is, I think that dude lives a chill life. I don't think he has stress. You know what I mean? I don't think Woody
Yeah.
stresses too much, and that ages you, right? Stress. I think Woody is just a laid back, chill dude. And
Yeah,
I agree.
I think Matt's right though that like if you lose your hair early or like that's why
Yeah.
Steve Martin seems like because you can see footage of him from the early 70s and
Yeah.
he's got
right.
the white hair
For
and,
sure.
you know.
Yeah. Okay. So we meet a team of divers. So there's saturation divers, like Tom says. The three of them are Chris, who is the main character that this story and this incredible event is about. He's played by Finn Cole, and then you have Dave, played by Simu Liu, who of course was in Shang-Chi, which I don't know why that doesn't have a sequel by now. That was
Shang-Chi. Is that like a what is that?
it's like it's a comic book movie.
Nah, I don't really.
No, you didn't really.
If he was
I
in
don't read
Iron
that.
Man 68, we don't care.
yeah.
Read that kind of stuff.
I am surprised he hasn't at least popped up.
I
in something
know,
else.
yeah. It is surprising, but that was one of the better MCU movies, so that'd be a cool sequel. But anyway, he's
Yeah,
like kind of a hard ass, not really emotional, but a great diver, so like kind of hard to get a read on him, but he's good at heart. And you've got Duncan, who is like the elder statesman, the guy that's been doing the dives for decades, and this is gonna be, we find out, his last mission because they're
Which I guess is
forcing
true,
him into retirement.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's true. That's real.
Well, okay, that part in the real, I thought they said this in the movie, maybe it was in the documentary, but they go back 3 weeks after.
Yeah. But I mean, at that time, was that?
But they do say they go back
Yeah.
and complete the mission, and he does too. But I took that as like, well, but you were contracted so that you get to do this one,
Oh,
not
okay.
like. And then he didn't retire. I just
No, I think he retires. That part I didn't check out, but I think that probably is true. This-
Kevin, why don't you come back when you're ready?
yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
come
Sorry,
on.
I only.
Now- I will take it
and
from
that's
here.
that's not one of the. If that was a fabrication, that one's not egregious. Like that's fine. You got because you got to make a real story into a movie.
Yeah.
And
Need to add some drama.
Some
Like, if
drama.
anything, my complaint was that like that kind of stuff could have been better. The dialogue was pretty rough.
Exactly.
like-
I think the story's incredible and the action scenes, and it looks like it's being filmed underwater.
Yeah.
Like everything about the movie looks believable. Those parts, take them or leave them. Like it's just a way to get you to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
excitement of the action.
it is another. I think all the kind of comedy falls pretty flat for me because it all feels
Well,
like
it's just Woody Harrelson. The
But
comedy is Woody Harrelson. I bet he improv.
probably.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
The
I just-
whole like,
that's-
what color should I paint your bedroom? Pink. Oh, pink. And then
I
or
felt
the-
like that was Woody being Woody
Yeah.
to me. At
Or
least,
like the
yeah.
whole like I'm the sat daddy. Sat daddy. It sounds weird coming from you. It's just all like
It was
what
very
they-
forced.
What they call like Marvel humor now.
No, but in the documentary, he introduces himself as the Sat Daddy. All that was, I guess that's what the guy went by. So they,
Sure. I mean,
that's how true. Like they really, I think having the director of the documentary doing
I
the
think
feature.
it's the back and forth with Dave that made it feel movie. Like it feels like
Yeah.
movie dialogue.
But it's
really
just
heavy.
it's just interesting that some of that back and forth and the talking of them on the footage for the documentary
Yeah.
is really them talking like that. So it's like I feel like this director pulled a lot. Alex Parkinson is the director of both, and I feel like he really did service to the real people and the way they talked and the things. And I think it's a double-edged sword. I think you get the guy to do it, and he's telling a very faithful story, and he's followed the real people, so he wants to do justice to the story and the people. But then also, this is an inexperienced director who maybe only has a few things under his belt, and so maybe the dialogue and the characters and the other stuff outside does not quite hold up.
I had read, and I haven't seen the documentary, but that the Dave is in the documentary comes off as even a colder person than the character.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. So Dave in the documentary, okay, Simu Liu is really playing up the like I'm all business, right? But you know that like he's secretly going to be a good guy because they're, and especially being based on a real person, they're not trying to make this guy an asshole. It just, you know that he's a tough heart of gold, like what do they call it? Like he's a tough guy, but he's really a nice guy down deep. And they say in the movie, they're like, yeah, when he goes home, he's a nice guy, but here he's all business.
Which makes sense, right? Like you make one mistake, you're going to get somebody killed.
This job is so serious.
And like, cause he chastises the new guy, Chris, who's going to be the problem, for hanging up a picture of his wife.
Yeah.
He's like, you need to focus on
everything outside's a distraction.
Yeah, and
it's probably just where he was going to jack off.
Yeah.
Well, they can do that in decompression. Remember, whatever you do with your hands for the 5 days decompression, that's on you.
But I mean, this is close quarters, man.
Yeah, that's
hanging up pretty late.
But Chris, Dave seems like a nice guy. Simu Liu is really playing up the I'm a hard ass and I'm not whatever. The guy seems very matter of fact in the documentary, but he seemed nicer than the way he was portrayed.
So, well, that was actually because I felt like they had trouble characterizing Dave because Chris comes up and meets him and he's like, "Hey, David," and he's like, "Oh, Dave, piss off." But then they immediately have this like,
and normally people that get that upset about Dave versus David are Davids.
That's true.
Yeah,
but then they have like a little jokey thing between him and Woody Harrelson, and it just seemed like a weird like, okay, guys, he's tough, but like he's like cool, like it's just like an immediate.
I took it as he knows.
Yeah,
Woody Harrelson
he's sussing out Chris.
Can get the job done.
Yes.
He's not worried about his capabilities. Where this guy, it's his first like sat dive, right? That's like he's new. He's dived before, but he's never done this before.
I don't know because he asks him, and he says he's done a few dives with
5
with. What's the
Woody Harrelson.
Duncan. He said, "Oh no, I've dived with him several times." Like I don't know, this is his first sat dive. He's just really new.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's done.
Yeah,
other
like
dives
I got the vibe that he was new at this particular task.
It's possible. Either way, he's a rookie at sat dives. There's no.
Yeah, but obviously, like you don't just start diving with sat dives.
Yeah,
Like you've done other.
That
dives,
I don't know if it's necessarily the first, but he's very new at it.
And we should maybe back up and just explain for people, because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to listen to this without having seen this movie because it's so small.
Sure.
But that I don't know that we really explain what sat diving is, and just that it's like
he teaches people the SAT. He dives right into the questions.
Where if you live in the Midwest, it's ACT diving.
Yeah.
But like it's super deep diving. They're going to go down like 300 feet, and like they have to like decompress you in a pressurized chamber.
Am I correct that it's called that because they saturate you with
a certain type of gas?
And your cells absorb.
Right, and that from what I've read, the way I understand it is that they have you in this diving bell, which they're in for the bulk of the movie, and that they pressurize that for like 4 or 5 days, and then they submerge you. So you live on land in this thing for 4 or 5 days, and then they put you down, and you go down, you do whatever you're going to do for a couple days or a few weeks, and then they bring you back up, and then they have to depressurize you for a few days. So the whole thing takes like 28 days.
And that's when you can masturbate.
Yes, but that this is still faster than how they used to do the depressurization with people, so you don't get the bends.
Yeah.
And so like
great album.
And then you can stay down there longer, and you can get out quicker.
Now I am not a person. I'm not in favor of automating humans' jobs. This is insane.
This is one that should be.
This is
and he even says that
in 10 years,
right?
It's
like,
going to be automated.
But do you ever you see a thing like this and you go like, what was step one? Like of someone explaining
to figure out
where
how
they go like, so if we just put the pipe on the bottom of the ocean, you feel like right there someone would go, what? We can't do that. How would we get down there
and
to
who
fix
are
it?
the people that installed the pipe?
That's what I'm saying.
This is
How
what
do
you got to
you
do to fix it.
I don't. It's crazy. So I will say that Duncan continued diving until 2024. So this movie is flawed.
Yeah, I think we should just wrap up this episode.
Yeah, I know it's frustrating. He continued another 12 years after
I don't know
this.
how.
It's all a lie.
I don't know how Alex Parkinson sleeps at night.
That guy. I was speaking him up. I was talking so good about old Alex.
Tony Stark quit being Iron Man after issue 64, right?
Oh.
Oh,
no,
but
68 is
68.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You need to read.
No.
Okay, but the difference is that Tony Stark then becomes Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
Anyway, so these sat divers dive up to I think in the movie they said they went down like 300 feet, but they go up to 1,000 feet below. I mean,
No,
that's
thank
insane,
you.
right? It's absolutely insane. So the fact they do it, these guys like they have hard jobs. Like props to them for doing this.
Almost as hard as this.
I don't want to. I mean,
I'm being.
this is pretty.
I'm being nice, but
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Maybe if you don't have to edit these things, but it's.
I mean, this part.
This part, oh yeah, certainly. So anyway, so this is like, Chris is a newbie.
Here's the thing. So
Yeah.
when you say these guys have a hard job, so my first thought immediately goes to, what are these guys making? Right?
Yes.
So I did a quick search on that. It says saturation divers earn an average of $90,000 a year.
That's not enough.
That is not enough.
It's
money.
not enough. Now
That
they
is not
probably
enough money.
now they probably do like 30 days on, 30 days off. They
don't
probably
care.
work half a year.
Oh,
for-
so like maybe they have other jobs in the meantime.
Yeah,
They're
like
have
they
to do
teaching
that.
diving and
right.
making
The
another
sat
40.
diving part, they only do 4 dives a year and make 100. It's still not enough.
They
but
should have to do this once a year, and then they're done. They've made all the money they need
Yeah.
for their
that
life.
dude. If it was $90,000 for 1 month, I would say they've earned it, right?
Yeah.
Because the gas that they're delivering, these natural resource companies are making a killing off what they're.
I don't want to work on
Fixing.
the bottom of a pool.
No,
That's scary.
This is insane. Like I said, watching this movie and seeing that it's based on real people that go and risk their lives for this type of stuff is insane. We get our heat and our whatever, all the natural gases, like, because these people are fixing this stuff, like, props to them. Same thing with people that climb electrical poles that are way up there, and it's insane that, like, you don't even think that, like, that's someone's job.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it just works, and you go, okay, but
Well, also, I'm never gonna look into it because it seems like you'd have to learn all about sat diving, and that seems hard and like a lot
sure,
of
the
steps.
training is,
But
yeah.
what? So this pipe's messed up. What is going on? Like, the gas is still coming. Like, how many redundancies?
Well, no, it's like preventative maintenance. So he's like, oh, there's a bunch of coral built up on it. It's getting
and the
corroded
pressure
or
was
whatever.
way too high.
And he had to turn one thing. Like, they're kind of maintain. I mean, I'm not saying they never fix stuff, but I do think that there's a constant crew of people preventing the natural gas from stopping or from disrupting or whatever. But anyway, so I get the Simu Liu thing. Dave's a hard ass, but again, his life is in this newbie's hands.
Maybe
so
it's just like it is kind of the movie's a little poor with like because they got to do it quick. They got to do it very fast.
Yeah.
It's all it's all in service of the action and the real life events that happened, other than the terrible retirement oversight. But all the other stuff is the excitement of the movie. So anyway, they get down there, they get to the bottom of the ocean, and all of a sudden there's this terrible storm. Not the seabed's 300 feet down there. They're about to get down. They're investigating all the stuff, and up on the, I don't know if you call it the surface of the water, surface of the ocean, the boat's, it's going up top. They're crashing through waves. It's stormy. It's terrible. And my first thought was, do you go do dives in this weather? And then apparently watching the documentary, they're like, there's nothing that would stop them from doing this job with that storm. So apparently whatever's happened up there doesn't generally disrupt.
Right.
It's calm 300 feet
Yeah, you're
away.
so far from.
There's no difference. And then the boat should have all of its technology to keep it in the same area. And so
So
really,
we're fine. So the technology, that's great.
right. So it wasn't that, they went out when they weren't supposed to and it was so dangerous. This was, would you call it like a voyage like any other? It was supposed to be a 3-hour tour, the bottom of the ocean.
I think they were going to be down there for 8
I
hours,
think-
but yeah,
I
basically.
screwed that up then. But it was a trip just like any other. But so the computer system, like the GPS location system.
Computers.
Uh-huh.
Looks like you
Sounds
don't
like-
win all the time.
Looks like AI shouldn't be taking
Yeah.
that job.
Sounds like they were using Starlink to me.
So what really happens again? It was a bad storm, but that's normal for this job. It happens, and they can't delay things, I guess, every time they're out on a voyage, they don't delay them just because it's stormy up top. But the computer GPS fails, and so now the boat is drifting with all the waves and how bad the storm is. That's bad because the boat is attached to this thing called the bell, and the bell is like, it looks like almost like a little astronaut landing pod, like what they land in when they crash in the
looks
water.
like a bell.
Right. But imagine like if you've seen a space shuttle, the thing that drops down when they rescue them from the water. It's like a small craft, and there's a capsule, exactly. There's room for a few people in there, and it has these lines called umbilicals. So the boat is attached to the bell, and then the bell is attached by umbilicals that deliver the gas and heated water because it's super sub-freezing temperatures down there. So they have like hot water running through the suit to keep them warm enough.
I want that. Just for the winter,
right? Wouldn't that be nice to walk around in a heated sauna suit? So while they're down there, and the ship is crashing and drifting off because the GPS is broken, it's pulling the bell, which is attached to them, and they're basically working like anchors at the bottom of the ocean, which means their stuff's getting caught up in all the crap. So like they're inside, there's these structures underwater that like house the pipes and protect them from things, and there's just like these little.
I thought it was insane that they drop a power cable down
in
and
the water,
plug that whole structure in.
Yeah.
What a
how does it even? I know, right? But it's like there's technology that you don't even think of because you think power and water, how, but it must be protected until it plugs in or whatever. So anyway, what happens is like they're like, hey, we're drifting, you guys got to go, and the umbilicals are stretching out, they're getting pulled, and there's not enough slack, and so Dave is able to kind of fight out of the structure they're in, and he says we got to climb to the top, and Chris is lagging behind him, and he eventually like barely sneaks out of the way of all the pipes and everything, and he's up there trying to climb to the top of the structure so they can clear it, and one of Chris's cables, the umbilical, gets snagged, and so he's anchoring the entire ship.
Crazy.
It is crazy, right? And so it is just stretching and stretching and stretching, and eventually it snaps. And so that's his oxygen, that's his heating. And they have a reserve tank now in real life in the documentary. They stretched it out, I think, for dramatic effect. Here's another little one. But apparently his backup reserve was like 5 minutes of oxygen. 20 sounded bad, and like that's not a lot. I think he had 5 minutes in real life. In the movie, they're like, you got 20 minutes, and that's it. So he switches on his reserve tank, and then
I think it was 10. I
thought it was 10
in real
too.
life.
I think it was 10.
No, in the movie.
I thought he said 20.
They
Is it
say
10?
10.
I think it's 10.
Okay, well there you go. So they
Sound off in the comments.
tell us.
Tell
So
Kevin how wrong
10
he
or
is.
20.
they stretched it out a little bit, but in real life it was 5 minutes, which I guess doesn't seem like you could do a lot in that. But it's crazy that like in real life he did more in the 5.
Yes.
But whatever. So
if you're gonna make it more of a movie in one way or the other, I guess I like that way kind of better.
Yeah.
To find out it was actually
it was
crazy.
crazier.
I feel like they probably lengthened it because in that 5 minutes they have to show you so many other things that are
people, right?
happening that people would be like as they go to the different subplots, it ends up being 20 minutes of the movie, but
Yes.
they're telling you it's been 5, and you're just like, well, that doesn't make any sense, even though they don't want to do a split screen showing them all at the same
That
time.
happens in movies all the time, right?
Yeah.
With a bomb counting down.
Right.
And you're like, how long is this timer? It's the longest
The
3 minutes
7-mile
in history.
runway and Fast
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Furious
oh my
6
gosh.
or
Now I'll
whatever.
tell you, part of the reason I don't like seek out movies like that, like I said, this was an okay movie. It was fun to watch, but I would never. There's too much weird, crazy stuff out there to watch, right? To watch
Right.
all of it. But man, the deck. What do you call it? Not the deck, probably the control, the captain.
Oh, sure. I see what you mean by
Yeah.
deck. Yeah, the captain's quarters, whatever you call that, the control room.
Sound
The
off in the
bridge.
comments. That sounds right.
Yeah.
The bridge.
Quarters would be where he lives.
That's such a like
Well,
nostalgic. Like that's so this
you didn't stay
kind of
after the
movie.
credits. See what they did in the captain's quarters to
Oh.
celebrate.
Actually, I was gonna say, did you guys see the post credits where Sully shows up?
Oh,
Yeah,
but for Monsters Inc.
yeah,
Yeah.
They're bringing them all together. But that whole vibe in there, like he's not the captain, but he's like the guy that's sort of.
The guy that's so there's like multiple levels of people
There's like
running
the guy who
operation.
captains the ship.
There's the manager, essentially.
Yes.
It's not,
Yeah.
sorry, it's not his role, but he's managing the divers, and then there's the captain of the ship, and then the assistant or first
Just
officer.
that whole vibe was that felt like such a like 90s movie, Apollo 8.
Like submarine movie where you're
I like that they didn't have the big screaming match, right? When the guy's we've got to drop anchor so we don't drift away from these guys, and the guy's like, if I drop anchor, I could hit the oil line and create
a natural disaster,
an environmental disaster. And the guy's like, but these guys are going to die, and he's like, but environmental disaster, and he's like, yeah, okay.
And I like how it wasn't like the big oil company
right.
being like, you can't take our profits away. He's like, this could kill things
sea
and
life
cause them,
and
it
lots
could disrupt
of
the whole
and
the water source for different people.
Right.
I also like that then the captain, he takes control of the boat, so he's like still trying to figure stuff out.
He's not going like, we can't do
He's
that
not
over
the-
one life. I'm a bad guy.
Right. He's not a villain.
Like, we can't do this. And in real life, they have footage and everything, and they showed how they took the control panel and turned the knobs and equalized it. That was 100% what the captain and the first mate or first officer actually did, which is just insane. This ship is like, imagine it looks like it's maybe not the size of the Titanic, but I mean, it's a massive oil tanker looking. It's a huge
cruise
Well, and the
ship.
Titanic's pretty small by today's standards.
so maybe I mean it is. We're not talking about a small boat. This is a huge ship that they're on, and it takes two people because the GPS system's down to where it would normally level out and keep the ship in the same place if you wanted it to. They have like 3 sets of controls on the left and 3 on the right, and each person has to level the front and the back. You know, the bow. I don't know all the terminology, but
port and starboard.
Yeah. They have to literally equalize it in real time as the waves are coming, and so it's a 2-person job, and they really did that.
It's not a 2-person; it's like a 6-person
job.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it should be right.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing that like. Here's the thing, at the end of the day, and why this story is so incredible, the real life story, which is very, I think, well captured in the movie, is that at any point in the chain of command, all someone had to do was be like, we can't risk it.
Yeah, like,
all it takes is one person
to go like that's impossible.
Did the guy reset the computer like that?
Yes.
That's crazy.
The dude went down to the server room with all the things. Now, I don't know. I can't remember in the doc if he actually stripped the wires.
I don't
that
care.
might have been
I don't care
the
what he
guy
did.
went down to the server room and had to reboot the panels to get the system back online, and it did, and it went back for him. Again, this movie did not embellish the actual like dramatic events.
Because I have done things on computers
to restart your Windows.
We sit down at this computer, not having touched it from the last week, and it doesn't
work. Right.
And you have to go through all these things to go.
And this guy in real time, and I will tell you right now, you know, to get to where we're getting close to, but like from the beginning of this mishap to where his oxygen cuts off to where they eventually are going to get back to him, which we're about to talk about, it's 30 minutes. These people had to make all these decisions to, you know, are we going to anchor the boat? Are we going to go rescue them? Are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to reboot the server? These life-saving, which goes way beyond 30 minutes. You should never be able to survive this. But it was only, in the scheme of things, 30 minutes for each person to make these decisions.
You know, and the other thing that's amazing about that they did all that in that short of time, and when you talk about all one person had to do is say it's not possible. Also, it would have only taken one person to go, this guy's dead already.
Right.
This
So
guy,
why rush
like
to
this
it?
guy's been dead for 20 minutes
That's
by
what I
this
mean.
point. Like, why are we jumping through all these hoops? Because there's no way this guy's been out of oxygen for 10 minutes.
We'll go back when the storm settles and we'll recover him. But like, that's what I mean. It all it takes is for the manager guy to go like, I can't risk any more of my divers.
Yeah.
The captain to go, I can't risk wrecking this whole ship or whatever.
Right.
Like it just takes one person, and they go like, this is sad, and we care about Chris. We want to save him, but we can't risk 50, 100 lives, whatever, you know, and billions of dollars over someone that you can't rescue. Not saying that like we could, like it's impossible. He has passed away. We will recover him, but like why would we risk this to just recover him earlier, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that all these people, I mean, this is what you think of in real life when you think of leadership and heroes. Like these people were put on display, and again, 30 minutes they did all this. And if you watch the documentary, you'll see that, I mean, you don't even have to, but if you do, it's like, no, they weren't BSing. Like the decisions they made, the things they did, incredible. So anyway, what happens is the one of the guys that's like the tech guy that's in charge of the computers and everything, he goes down, they show him like stripping an Ethernet cable, and he's going to manually bypass the whole boot up sequence to where he's just going to like patch it in to where the system just goes right back online, whatever, you know, it's technical gibberish, but he goes down there and he does that. Okay, he's able to do it. The computer reboots. The GPS navigation is back. And so now the boat can stabilize itself and turn around and go like on autopilot right back.
Because I think
to
the
dive.
deal is that they can kind of get back there manually, but they can't manually stabilize themselves enough to make it safe.
Yeah,
for
it's
the
just
divers to go
a
down.
the people that are controlling these 6 controls, the captain and the first officer. It doesn't end. You don't go, oh, cool, it's level. Now we can walk away. They would have to sit there. And then, when you're talking about, again, dropping the bell back down, well, all it takes is for the ship to lose control again. And now those divers are getting pulled.
I mean, you go 20 feet, right? And it's going to yank
anything. Yeah. I mean, the slack of the umbilical that the divers are using in the bell, like one person, Woody Harrelson in this movie, is like taking it and like wrapping it on the wall.
Yeah.
It's not like it's an infinite wrap around the thing. Like, so we're talking about like 50 feet, 30 feet, whatever it is. It's all the ship has to do is move a little and they're gone again. So anyway, it stabilizes, they get back, and now the computer can keep it level. Simu Liu's character, Dave, tells him, 30 minutes early, he's like, get to the top of this scaffolding, whatever the thing is called, get to the top, you need to be there and I will come back for you. Well, now that it's safe and it's stable, he goes back down there. We saw earlier a drone goes and looks, and the real footage is just like it, but you see that Chris had clipped himself like with a carabiner onto the top, which is smart because if he's unconscious,
if he passes out, he'll drift away.
So he couldn't save him with the drone, but like you can't count on that. Like, he's stable right there where they could find him. So Dave undoes it. He carabiners to himself. He attaches him, and then Dave has to pull himself up the umbilical. Like, I know things are lighter underwater, but you got a 170 pounds dead weight on you, and you're also stressed out by this situation.
Almost dead weight.
Passed out weight. So he has to do this, and like at first when I saw this movie, I go like, why is Simu Liu in the, like, he's so ripped and like, you know what I mean? I'm like, but then I see what he has to do. I'm like, oh, this dude that did this has to be in good shape.
Yeah.
Okay, and you even see like Dave is struggling. He is climbing up and he keeps slipping down. He's like, I can't do this, and and then so there's some great stuff where Woody Harrelson's like, you got to move with when the wave crashes and it goes up a little, you're going to move with it. It's that like inspirational. You could do it, one last push to the top. Eventually, Dave, he does it. He grabs the thing. It's a real like, nail biter of a scene where it's like, it's his last strength. If he doesn't get it, he's probably crashing down to the bottom with him. But he grabs the top, pulls him up, and he pushes Chris up through, like, I don't even know the physics of this. Like, I'm sure it's real, but like, it's crazy. They're underwater and there's oxygen in the bell, but like they can open the hatch at the bottom.
Yeah,
water doesn't.
I was trying to figure that out too. Why water didn't come flooding in when they opened that?
But it must be a physics thing. Like, it must be that the oxygen
the
pushes,
pressure. The pressurization somehow keeps it from.
I think that's fascinating. There's other movies too where we've seen things about underwater, and like, it's like there's a little door or something, and I've always wondered like, at what point does it overtake? I don't know. But anyway, he pushes him up, and like he looks dead, right? And in the documentary, Dave says like, he's like, I was going down there to recover a body, but like when I went down there and saw him attached to the scaffolding thing, he's like, it looked like there was a dead body laying there. Like, in real life, he was like, I'm gonna go do this and I'm gonna get him, but like he's like, there's no way in real life that he thought Chris was alive. It just didn't make sense, right?
I mean, he hadn't had oxygen for 24 minutes at that point.
Yeah,
it said 30 minutes in the documentary.
Did
I don't remember. It was a half hour.
29 minutes, I think, total.
Yeah, 29 minutes.
Right? So, like, that doesn't make sense. Minutes and you're brain dead, right? Usually, right? Like, that's... Yeah. You cut off oxygen to the brain for a few minutes, or at least have some kind of issues.
For
like,
sure.
You're paralyzed or... You know what I mean? So... 29 minutes should be impossible. But anyway, he pushes him up to the top. He looks like a lifeless body. He's all pale. I mean, Chris is not looking good. Woody Harrelson does like the mouth resuscitation on him, and there's even a joke in the real footage at the end about this man that he made out with. It's a funny joke, right? It's from the documentary.
A little homophobic, but go on.
Hey, you know what? If you almost die, I think you can make a little joke.
Is that how that works?
I guess so. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't care. He's like, I'm living on borrowed time. Let me make my
I'm trying
jokes.
to decide because he didn't say he didn't like it, right?
He didn't. He just said the only other
two men here
that have made out with. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it wasn't a bad thing. But anyway, so he gives him the mouth to mouth, and he comes back to life. And like in the documentary, Duncan is like, I was hoping you'd be alive. Like, it didn't, I just did what I thought I had to do. And like, he was shocked. Like, there's no way anyone thought this was going to work, but he did it and he saved his life. Like, think if Duncan was just like, God, this is terrible. I'm recovering his body, but like, this sucks. Like,
yeah.
After 30 minutes of no oxygen, he did the mouth-to-mouth thing and brought him back. And like, yeah, Chris just woke up slowly, but like he just started.
You could see like his systems coming back online. Yeah.
Incredible. And so like, it makes no sense, but this is what really happened in the events that it happened. He didn't come back with being paralyzed or brain damage. No long-lasting effects. Yeah. He literally 30 minutes cut off from oxygen. Came back.
Would you the rest of your life be going, what if I'm a little dumber?
yeah, you wonder.
Every time you try to think of a math problem, you can't get it right away. You go, could I have done that before?
Yeah.
Well, every time you're like, was that an Iron Man 68 or Iron Man 71?
Yep.
Like you're, you know.
And this movie ends the same way the documentary ends. I thought that was kind of interesting, but it's like such a faithful recreation. I don't know if there is a better way to end it, but it ends with the wedding. So like he was engaged, he and his fiance, you know, he leaves her and says, I'll be back. I'll be safe and all this. And then the whole time he's like, thinking about how he broke that promise and he's worried that he'll never get
when
back to her.
He calls her and he's like, oh they cut it short, there was an issue. I was just like, I would just get a hotel for 2 weeks and go home like nothing happened and be like, I am not signing my life rights away for this movie. You will never speak of this publicly. My wife was like, oh, that's what you do.
Interesting.
That's good to know.
Okay.
I'm like, I feel like my job is pretty safe in that regard.
So anyway, the movie ends same way as the documentary. There's a footage from the wedding and them getting married, and he does a little joke about Duncan, about how he's made out with him or whatever. It's a funny, cute moment, and it ends the exact same way in both versions. But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible story. I do think like it just kind of restores your faith in humanity, though, that like when humans are there and people that care about each other take charge and they're looking out for one another. Again, just the fact that one person, all they had to do was be like, hey, it's not safe. We care about him, but he's gone. And like, no, they fought. Every single person was determined to rescue Chris no matter what, and held out hope that he would be alive. And they did. And this guy's still alive to this day and doing dives, and because of all these people that stepped up. And to this day, they have no idea. Medical experts do not know how.
The thing at the end says that they think it's because of where he was at in the ocean, the pressure and the temperature,
like preserved,
like it lowered his vital signs, or you know, like basically he went into hibernation,
right?
And so I thought it was going to be that he Jesus personally came down and laid hands. I thought it was going to be that he like tweaked his tank somehow to give him
like sipped on the oxygen or something.
less oxygen.
Actually, I read a thing that had said if he had had more oxygen, if he hadn't like passed out, he would have potentially gotten hypothermia from being alert but getting colder. So something about like passing out when he
it made him, and he didn't panic because they talk about like control your breathing and breathe slower. So like I think like he basically hibernated, right? Like he falls asleep, and he even says it was like falling asleep.
Yeah,
and he doesn't really remember it. Like he starts to fall asleep, and then he wakes up in the thing, and he's like, oh, everything's cool.
Yeah, in the documentary, he said that his final thoughts before falling asleep, you know, obviously he makes it, but his final thing was like him being worried that he broke his promise and he wouldn't be able to get to his wedding and see his fiance again and all that stuff. And then at some point it turned into like a hallucination where he didn't know what was like him drifting off to sleep and dreaming, or was he aware, thinking these things like, and he said like he just did that and he was awake.
Maybe this is his dream. Maybe we're all
in his dream.
Deep.
Wow. It's amazing. But this movie kind of reminded me of that Breakthrough movie. Do you remember that with the kid from Missouri that fell through the ice? And I looked up just to remind myself, a 14-year-old kid named John fell through the frozen lake in Missouri. He was underwater for 15 minutes and unresponsive for 45, and then he came back without
like everything's cool.
Yeah, and now that movie was a religious thing. It was more like this movie doesn't have that element, but there are two things that like you should not have been able to survive. So this was kind of maybe a more exciting, like.
Did we do that movie?
I don't remember,
because I saw it and I don't know why I would have seen it otherwise.
I interviewed the kid, the real life kid,
the real life kid, or the actor.
The real life kid.
Okay, because the actor was on the One Day at a Time remake,
I think maybe I interviewed the actors. It's been a while. He was there too, though. I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe I interviewed both. I interviewed Chrissy Metz.
Something like that.
Yeah.
From
I interviewed
This Is Us.
because he's from Missouri. St. Louis doesn't get a ton of like the big press opportunities.
Yeah.
But
Right.
with it being a local kind of story,
He's
they
in
came
St. Charles. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I will say, to that movie's credit,
yeah,
the Jesus
breakthrough.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that movie. It was a decent movie. I'm not saying
like it was definitely like a Jesus saved him kind of movie.
funded by
Yeah.
yeah.
But I will say there's a scene in the movie that I really have to tip my hat to, where the mom's like, Jesus saved my baby, and somebody's like, okay, well, but what about all the babies Jesus isn't saving?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you need to tone that
They
down.
actually do kind of question. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's an
and
interesting,
like that's like you're like you saying that says that the other people's children like weren't worth saving, and so like you need to dial it
Yeah,
the
that
fuck
is
down.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I was like really surprised to see that, because I spent the bulk of the movie like, this is kind of gross. Like
Right.
like there's lots of people who don't get their
Right.
happy ending, and to pretend like you were chosen and the other people didn't make the cut is
That's a
kind
good
it's kind of
point, yeah.
douchey. And so I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, like I dig that.
Yeah.
Like good for them.
And I thought that movie was pretty well done. Honestly, like I liked that movie. I thought it was good. And so it's not I'm just saying, like, this movie, they don't go into like, oh, he was saved because there's religion doesn't play a part. It's literally just a story about leadership.
Here's an amazing thing that happened.
Yeah,
And for the record, I have no problem with people being religious and thanking a deity.
Oh yeah,
It is when they
use it against someone else.
someone else, or downplay. It's like, dude, we took the boat back and and Dave went down and he got you, and
rewired the computer.
And then if he went, Jesus did it.
Yeah.
Or if someone doesn't make it and they go, well, they didn't pray or something. Like that's
Right,
messed
right,
up when you say someone did it because they don't go to church. They died because they didn't go to church or something. That's what people have the freedom. That's the point, is like you should have the freedom to believe in what you want to believe, and as long as it doesn't affect other people. But when you start controlling other people's lives just because you believe in two different things, that gets to
yeah. But I like this movie. I didn't.
It's a solid.
Like I don't know that I'd ever watch it again.
No, but
because I feel like, well, I know it. I don't.
Story.
Yeah. But like and it's like 90 minutes long, and like for the 90 minute,
that.
I was like, that was an interesting tale, well told. Thank you, kind filmmakers.
If this is your thing, if like disaster movie, this kind of thing is your jam. Oh,
yeah,
this is a 10 out of 10. Like this is great.
And I will say the movie looks good because they actually do film it underwater. Like,
I like that they had was it the underwater like director of photography or some they had a specific underwater person.
Yeah.
And they did
like,
it. They did
that's
a great job.
That's the thing, is a movie like this could seem really fake and soundstagey and CG or whatever,
Right.
but like there's so much of this movie filmed underwater to where there's nothing for your brain to go like, oh, those physics don't make sense or whatever. Like they had to train them with diving and swimming to the actors to film underwater. Like
it reminds me of NASA's videos. Kind of looks like water, Reminds me a lot of NASA.
Is this a Kubrick?
No, I'm just saying.
Just asking questions.
Oh, okay.
I'm just talking. I'm just saying how much it kind of looked like a NASA video. Even the suit's a little bit weird.
You think Kubrick's still alive and maybe he really was the director? Kind of like a Poltergeist situation? You think this was a Kubrick?
Kubrick directed Poltergeist?
No, it's like
I know.
Okay.
Actually, there's theories that he did.
Yeah.
There are now.
And if there are theories, they must be true.
must
'cause
be true.
Theories don't usually come around if they're not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for this one. Don't let the runtime make you think that this was a bad movie. Normally that
I
means
thought
it's,
this was a
there's
dumping
not-
ground type.
There's not I mean, it's a pretty streamlined, like ABC kind of movie. There's not a whole lot to dig into. So,
I appreciated that they did not pump this full of filler
Yeah.
with going back to the wife for 20 minutes at a time and
Right.
following her at baby shower or wedding, like whatever. Just they didn't fill it with a bunch of that. It really is a pretty tight movie. And when you look at, again, comparing it to the documentary, this film shows you what happened and the exciting things and what they really did. And outside of that, there's not a lot of fluff.
Well, this is a good movie. Like if you got to watch a movie with your parents or something. Which, by the way,
Oh yeah, you have a story about
my mom, text me.
Uh-huh.
She goes, "This movie's terrible. I'm like, oh, what are you guys watching? And I guess at some point I talked to them about Dogtooth. I don't know if you guys have
I
seen.
don't even know
Yeah.
Have you seen Dogtooth?
You told her to watch Dogtooth?
I don't think I
What?
did.
You mentioned it, and she thought you recommended
I guess. Yorgos Lanthimos. It's the one he made before.
the ones that everyone's seen.
It's before he started making English.
Yeah.
Which I would never tell my parents to watch a subtitled movie. And she's like, "This is crazy. It's like a porno." And I'm like, "What are you doing?
Don't watch it.
Do not
Don't
watch that." So I can't wait to.
He's the one that did The Favorite and Poor Things and The Lobster.
Okay.
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
But this is the one he did
I liked
before.
Killing of a Sacred Deer. I have not liked the other ones.
Killing of a Sacred Deer is
You didn't even like The Favorite?
I
The
didn't.
Favorite
I
was
haven't
so
seen The
funny.
Favorite yet.
I liked it, but
Dogtooth is wild. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It feels much more like The Lobster. Just
I've
like,
not seen The Lobster.
Or, I'm sorry. Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like it's so oppressive and awful. And what I would have liked to have done was say, "Mom, we should sit down and watch Last Breath. This you'll like."
yeah,
Yes.
You're right. This is a movie that's pretty straightforward, amazing story, good intense action sequences, like edge of your seat type of. Like it's a good movie to watch with someone that maybe isn't into art house films or it doesn't have, not.
And you can enjoy it too if you are. And it's just like, fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's a fine movie.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
I will. Normally, I say, go screw. Don't find me. I do. The band has had terrible luck.
He's actually got to plug something.
We
this
have a
time.
$2,000 towing bill, and then our van got stolen, and now it's all goofed up. And I wouldn't do it, but my friends suffer from this as well. So we are like everything's.
Yeah, Matt's loaded. Like he doesn't need the money, but
I don't want people to like look at me, talk to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not like a attention guy.
oh yeah, no,
Yes,
he's very
that's-
keeps to
but-
himself. Yeah.
But my friends, we have to pay for this as well. They're part of all of this. So everything in the mattfbosler.com store is like on sale. We have a very funny. There was some graffiti left on the van that we've turned into a T-shirt that you can get. So
And Matt's turned it into a honeypot to catch the crooks.
yes. Trying to get sued by the crooks for
Yeah,
stealing
let's see if it works.
their
IP.
IP. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, was this part of the Life Cinematic Universe? Do you think this is
I think so. The FL
CU?
FL
That's pretty good, actually. FLCU.
FLRF, whatever.
I just call it the FLCU.
So if you feel like it, let's go over there and
It's great.
help.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock one of those T-shirts,
Yeah.
man. Anyway, so support Matt. I just want to plug supporting Matt, so do that.
And you can find me on Blue Sky
I love
and Threads.
throwing Tom off with the plug.
No, I'm just like, I feel
You
the
don't
need
care,
to
you
support
don't-
him. I'm
Oh, so you're not gonna?
no, I'm just still
join
trying
in-
to drive traffic to me.
Yeah.
And my Blue Sky with 4 followers.
What about the hubbubbery?
And
Do you want to plug that?
Yes, I'll be on next week's episode. So you can find me at Blue Sky and Threads at Tom O'Keefe Jr. or Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. And of course, don't forget our Patreon. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, U-96 reaches La Rochelle on Christmas Eve.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, 'cause we all